Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, I'm Yulisa Aprianti. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, in this video, my partner and I are going to be an interpreter of Bill Gates at 2015 fun cover DC. So, let's get to the video.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement, filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes.
Bill Gates berkata, ia memiliki drum di ruang bawah tanah sebagai tempat perlindungannya karena saat ia masih kecil sering terjadi perang nuklir. Dan hari ini permasalahan besar itu berbeda dengan yang dialaminya waktu kecil, yaitu virus yang lebih berbahaya daripada perang.
Now, part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence. But we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a system that didn't work well enough. The problem was that we didn't have a system at all.
Saat ini sedikit dari kita yang kurang peduli dalam menghadapi wabah ini. Contohnya, pemakaian sistem yang kurang membantu. Pasti kita sudah mengetahui tentang Ebola dari beberapa media sebelumnya, yang tentunya juga memiliki permasalahan yang sulit. Bill Gates telah melakukan upaya yang baik untuk meninjau pembasmian polio tersebut.
In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely inaccurate. We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now, Médecins Sans Frontières did a great job orchestrating volunteers, but even so, we were far slower than we should have been getting the thousands of workers into these countries. And a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers.
Permasalahannya adalah kurangnya tenaga ahli yang sigap untuk menghadapi wabah ini, yang sigap untuk meninjau penyakit dan seberapa luas penyebarannya. Penyimpanan laporan yang masih secara manual dan pengunggahan online yang sangat telat serta tidak akurat. Meskipun telah banyak tenaga ahli yang diturunkan oleh salah satu organisasi kesehatan yaitu Médecins Sans Frontières, namun itu belum cukup untuk memberantas wabah.
There was no one there to look at treatment approaches, no one to look at the diagnostics, no one to figure out what tools should be used. As an example, we could have taken the blood of survivors, processed it, and put that plasma back in people to protect them, but that was never tried. So there was a lot that was missing, and these things are really a global failure. The WHO is funded to monitor epidemics, but not to do these things I talked about. Now in the movies, it's quite different. There's a group of handsome epidemiologists ready to go. They move in, they save the day, but that's just pure Hollywood. The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola.
Kesalahan besarnya adalah tidak adanya usaha yang tepat dalam mengatasi masalah ini. WHO tidak menjalankan apa yang dikatakan oleh Bill Gates tersebut, salah satunya yaitu perhatian yang tepat pada penggunaan alat. Tapi hal itu berbeda dengan yang ada di siaran televisi. Banyaknya tenaga ahli yang tampan dan siap berperan dalam menyelamatkan dunia, dan itulah Hollywood.
Let's look at the progression of Ebola over this year. About 10,000 people died, and nearly all were in the 3 West African countries. There's 3 reasons why it didn't spread more. The first is there was a lot of heroic work by the health workers. They found the people and they prevented more infections. The second is the nature of the virus. Ebola does not spread through the air. And by the time you're contagious, most people are so sick that they're bedridden. Third, it didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. If it had gotten into a lot more urban areas, the case numbers would have been much larger. So next time we might not be so lucky.
Sebagian besar orang yang meninggal akibat Ebola di tahun ini berada di negara-negara Afrika Barat. Ada beberapa hal mengapa Ebola tidak menyebar begitu luas. Yang pertama, banyaknya tenaga ahli yang sigap dalam mencegah dan mengatasinya. Yang kedua, orang yang terserang hanya butuh untuk memulihkan kondisi kesehatannya. Yang ketiga, karena Ebola tidak merambah hingga ke perkotaan. Namun, sekarang keadaannya berbeda.
You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. In fact, let's look at a model of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918.
Di masa mendatang, mungkin akan terdapat virus yang lebih berbahaya, dan orang yang terjangkit tidak tahu dan secara bebas bepergian. Situasi bisa menjadi lebih berbahaya daripada sekarang, karena virus tersebut bisa berasal dari alam ataupun teror biologis. Contoh yang bisa kita lihat yaitu flu Spanyol yang terjadi pada tahun 1918 yang dapat menular melalui udara.
So here's what would happen. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly. And you can see there's over 30 million people die from that epidemic. So this is a serious problem. We should be concerned. But in fact, we can build a really good response system. We have the benefits of all the science and technology that we talk about here. We've got cell phones to get information from the public and get information out to them. We have satellite maps where we can see where people are and where they're moving. We have advances in biology that should dramatically change the turnaround time to look at a pathogen and be able to make drugs and vaccines that fit for that pathogen. So we can have tools, but those tools need to be put into an overall global health system, and we need preparedness.
Virus ini menyebar dengan sangat cepat ke seluruh dunia dan menyebabkan 3 juta orang meninggal akibat virus ini. Untuk mengatasi masalah ini, diperlukan sistem yang bagus. Dengan memanfaatkan teknologi dan ilmu pengetahuan yang ada saat sekarang ini, kita dapat memperoleh informasi yang dapat dimanfaatkan untuk sistem kesehatan dunia.
The best lessons, I think, on how to get prepared are, again, what we do for war. For soldiers, we have full-time waiting to go. We have reserves that can scale us up to large numbers. NATO has a mobile unit that can deploy very rapidly. NATO does a lot of war games to check, are people well trained? Do they understand about fuel and logistics and the same radio frequencies? So they are absolutely ready to go. So those are the kinds of things we need to deal with an epidemic.
Kesiapan-kesiapan yang kita lakukan saat perang dahulu merupakan hal penting yang harus kita patut contoh saat sekarang ini. Pasukan-pasukan yang tahu bagaimana cara berperang, dan organisasi NATO yang selalu melakukan pengecekan apakah pasukan mereka terlatih dan siap menghadapi perang. Hal penting inilah yang harus kita contoh saat sekarang ini jika suatu saat wabah datang.
What are the key pieces? First is we need strong health systems in poor countries. That's where mothers can give birth safely, kids can get all their vaccines, but also where we'll see the outbreak very early on. We need a medical reserve corps, lots of people who've got the training and background who are ready to go with the expertise. And then we need to pair those medical people with the military, taking advantage of the military's ability to move fast, do logistics, and secure areas.
Komponen penting sangatlah dibutuhkan. Misalnya, pada negara-negara terbelakang perlu adanya sistem kesehatan yang bagus dan memberikan vaksin untuk mencegah perluasan virus. Kita juga harus menyiapkan tenaga ahli profesional yang sigap dalam bertindak. Dan mengkombinasikannya dengan militer agar dapat mengamankan daerah yang terjangkit dan cepat dalam mengirimkan bantuan.
We need to do simulations, germ games, not war games, so that we see where the holes are. The last time a germ game was done in the United States was back in 2001, and it didn't go so well. So far, the score is germs 1, people 0. Finally, we need lots of advanced R&D in areas of vaccines and diagnostics. There are some big breakthroughs like adeno-associated virus that could work very, very quickly.
Kita harus sering melakukan banyak eksperimen, karena yang kita butuhkan sekarang adalah penelitian di bidang vaksin. Eksperimen terakhir di Amerika Serikat tahun 2001 tidak berjalan dengan baik. Karena itu, kita perlu melakukan banyak eksperimen di bidang vaksin lagi.
Now, I don't have an exact budget for what this would cost, but I'm quite sure it's very modest compared to the potential harm. The World Bank estimates that if we have a worldwide flu epidemic, global wealth will go down by over $3 trillion. And we'd have millions and millions of deaths. These investments offer significant benefits beyond just being ready for the epidemic. The primary health care, the R&D, those things would reduce global health equity and make the world more just as well as more safe.
Persiapan ini memerlukan banyak biaya. Bank Dunia memperkirakan bahwa kekayaan dunia akan turun drastis jika virus ini menyebar ke seluruh dunia dan menyebabkan jutaan kematian. Maka dari itu, kita harus membuat kesenjangan terhadap perawatan secara maksimal dan melakukan berbagai persiapan.
So I think this should absolutely be a priority. There's no need to panic. We don't have to hoard cans of spaghetti or go down into the basement, but we need to get going because time is not on our side. In fact, if there's one positive thing that can come out of the Ebola epidemic, it's that it can serve as an early warning, a wake-up call to get ready. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic. Thank you.
Jadi, kita tidak perlu cemas dan menjadikan hal ini sebagai hal utama yang harus dipersiapkan. Kita harus cepat tanggap dalam menghadapinya. Kita harus menjadikan Ebola sebagai kacamata untuk peringatan dan persiapan. Dan jika kita melakukannya mulai dari sekarang, kita pasti mampu dalam menghadapi wabah berikutnya. Sekian, terima kasih.